Most people think convenience is a side effect of better technology, like faster phones or smarter apps. The reality is that convenience becomes a product, and the stuff you think you're buying is often just the delivery vehicle. Remember waiting on hold, digging for cash, driving to a store, or sitting through commercials because that was the deal. Now you tap to pay, your card is already saved, and the next episode starts before you've decided if you even like the show. It feels like life got smoother, but it also got more expensive in quieter, harder to track ways. Convenience is no longer a feature. It's the most profitable product on earth. Here are the questions that make this worth looking at. Why are you paying monthly for things you used to buy once? Why does waiting 10 seconds now feel like something is broken? And who benefits when the default setting for daily life is zero friction? This isn't a tech rant, because convenience is genuinely useful, and for a lot of people, it's accessibility, not indulgence. The point is to see the business model clearly, because once you see it, the prices and the design choices stop feeling random. The rules of the game are simple. Remove friction to get you in, then sell frictionlessness back to you, forever. A few decades ago, friction was everywhere, and it was mostly physical. Driving to a store, mailing a check, standing in line, rewinding a tape, paying late fees because you forgot. Digital products removed a lot of that, and at first, it felt like a gift because it was cheaper to distribute a file than a box. The incentive was obvious. The easier the first use, the more people try it. So companies flattened the on-ramp with free trials, saved passwords, and one-click checkout. You can see it in e-commerce with Prime-like memberships, in banking with instant transfers, and in software where freemium gets you comfortable before the paywall appears. The removal of waiting became the thing being sold. And once you're used to that, you start paying to avoid even small amounts of discomfort. Think of it like toll roads and fast lanes. The road is the same road, but now there's a paid lane where you can skip the traffic. And after a while, the normal lane feels insulting. That's the friction premium. Ad-free tiers on streaming, priority pickup on ride-hailing, faster shipping, and free delivery subscriptions that only feel free because the membership hides the math. Then there's the friction tax, cancellation that takes 5 screens, returns that are easy to start but slow to finish, and password crackdowns that reintroduce friction right when you're most dependent. Subscriptions are perfect for this, because set-and-forget billing makes you less sensitive to small price increases than you would be with a one-time purchase. Small recurring charges feel harmless, but over a year, they often beat the old upfront price by a lot. It's 9:47 p.m., you're hungry, and you open a food delivery app. The menu prices are already higher than in the restaurant. Then you add service fees, delivery fees, maybe a small order fee, and sometimes surge pricing because it's raining. At checkout, the app offers a subscription that promises free delivery, and the pitch lands because you're staring at a total that doubled since you tapped the first item. Next week you order again, not because you love the app, but because your brain now treats cooking, driving, and waiting as an unnecessary problem. That's the habit loop, a cue like hunger, a quick action with a saved card, and a reward that arrives at your door, reinforced often enough that alternatives start to feel like punishment. The real product isn't delivery or streaming, it's the removal of waiting. Streaming runs the same playbook with different buttons. You open Netflix, autoplay starts, recommendations line up, and you don't face a decision point where you might stop. If you pick the cheaper plan, you pay with attention through ads. If you pick ad-free, you pay cash to remove the friction. Then password sharing gets tightened, not because the technology suddenly changed, but because the platform can now charge for the convenience you built your routine around. Social apps, push notifications, scene receipts, and infinite scroll, so there's no natural stopping place. And games use daily streaks and battle passes, so skipping a day feels like losing progress you already paid for. Defaults matter here more than people admit, because opt-out settings quietly steer behavior more than any persuasive argument. Once the easiest path is also the most profitable path, the app doesn't need to convince you. So far, here's what's happening. Friction gets removed to acquire you, then strategically reintroduced or sold back to you once you're used to the smooth version. Over time, that erodes patience, and expectations inflate until instant feels normal and soon feels broken. You start paying to avoid tiny waits the way you'd pay to avoid pain, and that makes time feel even more scarce because now you notice every delay. There's also a learned helplessness of daily life that creeps in when you outsource small tasks. Choosing what to watch, remembering to pay, planning a route, even deciding what to eat. The platform takes the effort, but it also takes the choice, and the price for that trade shows up as higher totals, more fees, and less tolerance for doing things the old way. And because the spending is spread across subscriptions, micro fees, and upgrades, it hides inside your month like background noise. The convenience ladder is how dependence gets built without a big decision. First, you use ride-hailing occasionally. Then you start using it because parking is annoying. Then you stop thinking about public transit, and suddenly, owning a car feels optional. Right up until surge pricing hits, and you realize you're renting mobility at whatever the app says it costs today. In e-commerce, one-click buying and buy now, pay later remove the friction of payment, which means the only pain left is the delivery wait, and you can pay to remove that too. In banking, instant transfers and overdraft protection turn urgency into a fee, because speed is a product and anxiety is reliable demand. This is why it's so profitable. Digital distribution scales, margins are high, and data lets platforms personalize who gets which offer, which trial, which reminder, and which price. When a company can charge more to the person who values comfort most, it doesn't need one perfect price. None of this means you should reject convenience, because plenty of it is real progress, and sometimes it's the difference between participating in life and being locked out. It does mean you can treat convenience like any other purchase, something you choose for a reason, not something that quietly chooses you. A practical way to see it is a 7-day convenience audit. Pick one subscription to pause or cancel, turn off one frictionless feature like autoplay or one-click checkout, and use a 24-hour rule for any non-urgent online purchase. Watch what you feel in the gap, because that discomfort is often what the app has been selling relief from. If you want, tell me in the comments which convenience you suspect costs you the most per month, and what surprised you when you actually checked. And if you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe, because the expensive part of modern life is often the part that feels easiest.